Right, I was going to say something to you about big hoops, wasn't I? Unless you can get massive hoops, well, here's your answer. The middle of your embroidery hoop. You'd have to sacrifice an embroidery hoop, I guess, but you can buy small ones. You can buy really small ones. I tend not to use them because this bit is then very close to where you're stitching and the thread invariably gets caught on it all the time. But it might be an idea to buy a small one, the smallest embroidery hoop you can buy, and do one of these over the middle, over one of them. You'd obviously have to work out all your measurements again, but don't ask me to do it because I'm rubbish and it would give me a headache. But that's an idea for you. There you go. Right, so I need to cut this one out now. I'm going to use my small basting, see? Damp stretch without taking the basting out. I'm going to take it out with a blunt needle because I don't want to run the risk of catching anything. So it's really, then you've got no worry. I mean, it's very stressful doing this, trust me, because if it catches and creases this, and also what I do sometimes, if it's a big area of basting I'm taking out, I cut it as I'm going round, so I'm not dragging a lot of thread through it at once, you know what I mean? It's easier if you're taking out shorter lengths at a time. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't have cut this ordinarily, but just to demonstrate to you how much easier it is if you're taking out smaller lengths. Trying to keep a tidy house. Breaking the habit of a lifetime. Right, so... Ow! Oh! Right. Cut this out now. So this is an open ring button. Now, I've wasted a lot of fabric here. Do you know what? I'm awful for doing that. I do it a lot because I don't think, I just dive in. The excitement gets the better of me. But what I'm going to say to you now, that I've written on this in places. So I've put like, just give me a sec. Bit of base in there from the hem. Open, 1/4 inch ring. It says open down there. Somewhere else it says E for embroidery area. But what I'll do is I'll cut them out and I'll keep this because I do a thing on my sewing machine. Don't know if we'll do it in this class. If you want me to show you, let me know. Called snippet cloth. In fact, I need to get on my sewing machine. I haven't been on my sewing machine since I moved in here. Snippet cloth. So you keep your scraps. Okay, I keep them in jars. I don't have one in here because they're usually really, really big. So they're in the house. No, actually, I've got one up there. I've just seen it. Offcuts, all in a jar to make snippet cloth. Okay, and even if you never use the snippets, they're just lovely things to have to look at. All this crammed in cloth offcuts, so keep them because you can make snippet cloth with them. I'm going to have to show you now. I'll do it, don't worry, I'll do it. So I'll cut those things out of there and then I'll put that in my snippet jar. So I need to get some gimp. And I've been racking my brains to think of a solution to this silk fray situation where it meets, where your two ends of your gimp come together in the seam, and I just can't think of one. It's just the fact that it's silk and I'm just going to have to get over it. Well, I am over it, I guess. I just don't want you to think that I'm slapdash. So, got cotton abroad there. Sharp needle and a knot in your thread. And we're going to do exactly the same thing again as we did with the closed one. Put this gimp in the seam, so we have to be careful we don't catch the gimp, remember, so that we can still pull it around when we get to that point. Once you've started this off, starting it off is the hardest bit. Says she, and then did that one really quite easily. And don't forget, it's quite small stitches. And I guess what you want is your gimp on the pencil line. Should have said that yesterday. Or your cord, or whatever it is that you're using. So this one's smaller than the closed one, although, so in theory it should be quicker to do this bit, although it's not that much smaller, you know what I mean? It's not like it's 6 inches smaller or anything. Now I want to talk to you about the flicker group, because I know there's newbies in this class, and I've got newbies in the ledger class I'm working on, and they're so reluctant to put the work in the group. Well, please don't be. We were all beginners once. We were all beginners once. I'm not a beginner by any stretch of the imagination, but I still make big mistakes and bad decisions. You know, nobody's perfect. None of us work for Dior, or if you do, let me know, and I'm not going to teach you because it's intimidating. You know what I mean? And the Flickr group is so supportive, and you'd be amazed. Like, so say you put a picture in, and you know, I don't want to put that picture in, I don't like that bit of work, it's horrible. Well, put it in, because fresh eyes see things that you don't sometimes see, and fresh eyes can give you a new perspective on it. So please don't be shy, please, I'm begging you. And there's never any criticism. I mean, I never criticise, ever. I just don't, because I think if you've spent 5-6 hours thinking about something, working on it, putting time into it, then for me that makes it a success. It makes it a success. But it's not a success if you're sitting there beating yourself up because you think it's rubbish. So it's not about that. It's about learning, and even if we make the most horrendous mistakes, we learn from them. So they're valuable. Mistakes are valuable because you learn from them. Don't see them as negatives, see them as positives. Okay, and that's the pep talk of the day from Karen. I'm nearly round. See, if I let my mouth run away with me, I'll work quicker. Now I keep saying it doesn't bother me, those little wispy bits, but for something that doesn't bother me, I'm banging on about it a lot. I can't see a solution, really. So if it's going to bother you, don't use silk. Okay. There is a thing you could do, but I don't know how it would affect the finish. You could add another 1/4 inch to your initial circle and turn that over first before you do this bit with the gimp. That is a solution, but I don't know how that would affect the finish of it, whether it would still be so whether you would still have a finish like this, which is flat and defined, if this was a doubled over thing that you're putting over there. Do you know what I mean? Perhaps that's something, if it bothers you, if you're using silk and it bothers you, perhaps that's something you could try. Let me just try and fold it completely over. Well, I've still got to get that gimp to pull it, so I'll be really careful and not stitch through the gimp. This might work actually. Just bring your gimp to the middle and finish the seam. I just don't know how this is going to affect the pulling up of the gimp. Okay, so finish the seam. Now, did I knot this yesterday in that other video? Knot it off anyway, leave it in. I've got to leave it in. Put my needle away and get my ring. Right, it might come undone pulling it. If I pull it this way, I'm going to try. It's still coming out the wisps. There. So then you have to manipulate this so that your ring's in the centre. Oh, I like this one. So, but if you're doing this, pulling it over, be careful you don't pull your stitches out. Oh, isn't that one lovely? Oh, see, something's fell off there because it's in the middle. Look. Where's that come from? There's two missing on here. So in the pulling, they must have popped off. There must be another one somewhere. The French knots. So maybe if you're doing the sequin and French knot thing, you should secure your sequin first with this thread and then go back and do the French knots, because they obviously aren't holding them on properly. So again, see, that's an error, but we've learnt from it and we've resolved how to stop it happening again. So I really like this one. I don't even mind that they've popped off. There's 3 popped off. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, because they haven't come off the green ones, have they? They've come off the pink ones. No, it's 1 and it's there. It's just 1. So I might be able to rescue that. Let me get some of that pink. So maybe what you should do when you're in your first stage, where's that one I was working on? Okay, is go around and secure all your sequins first with Gutterman. So you'd have to come up. Oh no, don't do that, because then you're going to have visible this coming across twice. So don't do that. What I would advise, depending on the size of the hole in your sequin, is do 3 French knots on top, not just 1, and that will definitely secure it, I would think. Let me just see if I can rescue that. Let me get that pink thread. I love that one, I love it. I'm going to be making loads of them, I can tell you. Now this is the open one. Let me just thread this needle and put a knot in this thread. So your work isn't finished yet because you need to tidy it up in the middle. So hopefully I can take this knot inside this button, inside this folded fabric, and come up and put that one back on. It's so easy to have a bit of tape, you know, and then you just these tiny little bits of thread. You might not care if they're all over the floor, I don't know. I don't really care, it's just my husband doesn't like it. Right, so I'm coming up there and I'm coming through that original French knot. Get that sequin back. I'm only going to do 1 in here though, because I don't want it to look different to the rest. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Well, it'll look different to the rest anyway because it's got 1 underneath it. Go down through that French knot up. Now that French knot's got a blasted loop on the top, but never mind. So I'm going to fasten this off because it's pink and it'll be visible. Or I could take it down to the back actually, because you don't see the back of these. So if I take it down to the back and do a Henrietta knot, I'm going to ignore that loop, and this is a different pink as well, I've just noticed, but never mind. We'll say that it was an artistic decision to alter the flow of the colour. You learn to talk like that when you go to uni. Just cut that a bit shorter. Right, so now I need to tidy this middle up, and if you realise today I haven't cut that Gutterman off because I need it. So, wispy bits aren't too bad, you know, and I might not have any gimp coiled on this. I might just try and tuck the gimp into the button. literally, in fact I've got something else. Scissors are a bit dangerous in this situation because this might be too thick though. Because you could pierce your fabric unintentionally. No, this is too big. I'll push that in there. Tweezers are good, I just haven't got any tweezers on me at the minute. No, I'll have to do it with my scissors. So just try and feed it in with the end of your scissors. And I mean, gimp is inoffensive, as is cord, as is wool. So if this were to pop out at any time in the future, you just push it back in or leave it, because it's not, like I say, it's inoffensive. Get in there, son, get in. There. I didn't say it wouldn't be fiddly. A little bit just doesn't want to go in. Just like, I need something else. I'm thinking tweezers. That's what you need for this. There, it's gone in now. Now I need to thread my needle again. Get my needle. Just bear with me. It's on the left of me here, my needle case. Yeah, so do 3 French knots on the top, and then that shouldn't happen to you. Oh. Love this one, love it. Now, I don't think there's enough of the centre here visible for my liking. So what I'm going to do is put my needle through the pleat, take it under to the back and pull it, and that'll pull it in. Can you see how that's pulling it in? And then come back up through this pleat. Okay. Try and push all that wispy stuff in with my needle as well, with the point of my needle, and again take it through to the back under. So I'm taking my needle through the back at this point because I'm putting it right in there, and then going down like that and pulling it in. That's it. So that looks much better. Look at that. I mean, I just love it. I love it. So the first thing I'm going to do is this can be brought up here to do your first buttonhole loop on the edge. Okay. Now the central embroidery, I'll leave that there ready to do the loop on the edge. I love it because you've seen me do that. You don't need to see me do that again. But now the centre, so what am I going to do in the centre? Now I could do another one of these in the centre, but then I'm thinking it's not going to be obvious that it's the centre. It'll just look like it's the whole thing. So I'm going to put something contrasting in there. I've got needles sticking out of this everywhere. I'm going to have to pick them up because I forget them. I'm going to put a crystal in there. Now you might not have a crystal. Again, oh, I saw a needle sticking out of here. Oh, there it is. That doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is use bead needle for my crystal. Just put something contrasting in there. So, like, I don't know. I wouldn't put white in there because it might get lost. But a blue bead, just a simple blue bead, something so that it's obvious that that's internally the centre. Now the crystals, I've become a bit addicted to Swarovski crystals, and they're quite expensive. Well, they're not massively well. They're about £4 for 50, but you know what I mean, 50 doesn't go very far. So for example, if you look at my needle case, I mean, how many have I got on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 34 on that side alone, okay? So I need to have a word with myself and not use them as often, I guess, but then I don't drink, got no other vices. Right, so with a crystal, so these crystals I've got a circular with a hole in the middle, okay? Now, if you're not going to put, I'm going to put a bead on top of mine, but if you're not going to do that, you're going to have to stitch them minimum twice so they lie flat. So you've got a thread coming out from there to there and one from there to there. If they're going to be on something that's going to be used a lot, a garment or something, they have to do it a minimum of 4 times, okay? But I'm going to put a bead on top of mine so that'll hold it secure. I won't have to do any of that, okay, because there's going to be a bead on the top. Now, that situation I was telling you about where I don't like to put knots in my buttoman, what I do sometimes, and I'm not going to do it here because it'll be obvious on the back, is I put a little bead, seed bead on the end and tie it on, and that acts as a stopper for the thread. But I'm not going to do, when I do that, you'll see it. So, but what I can do, because the backs aren't visible, is run it through the back a couple of times to secure it. And my bead needle is really bent, so it's going to be picking up this fabric when I don't want it to. My bead needle, like I've only got one. I haven't actually, I've got more, but just run it through the back a couple of times. Secure it and then bring it up there. So in the centre of here, so that's for my first loop. I've got crystals in here, so I'll pick up a crystal. I've got some with foil backs, and they're kind of, there's one there like a rose coloured one, rose there. So I'll pick that up like that. And what colour bead, Karen? I'll have a green bead because it's a different green to what's happening on there. Put that down. And then I go over the bead, so I don't go back down through the bead, I go over the bead and through the centre of the crystal, like that. And that bead ensures that the crystal stays. Okay, now you can do these centres before you put it on the button if you want, it's entirely up to you. But like I say, be careful with your markings, alright, because you don't want them to be visible there. So and then we go through the back a couple of times again to secure that, because this back isn't going to be visible there. I love that. I'll do the buttonhole bars off camera because you don't need to see me do them. And by the time I take the pictures, we'll be finished. So that was our first lesson. So next time I've got more button ideas for you. Cut that off. Put this needle there. Right, so we did that one. I love that one. I'm going to do a big one like that. That big one that I started. And it's really, really easy and quick. So this one, well actually I'll finish this one. Sorry. Actually this is a small one, isn't it? Not a big one. No, I'm going to do big ones like that. But I could do it in this colour scheme. The colour scheme I started with you. But I like that colour scheme. Right, so we've done that one. And that one. They're just delightful. They're like little pastries. You could eat them. Feel free to eat them, but I'm not going to come and visit you in hospital because I'm far too busy. Right, so I'll see you next week. Yeah, I'm really happy.